Tonight's forecast is sponsored by Ashbrook Audiology, where relationships matter.
Welcome back, everybody. And of course, as we've been talking about this week, the warmth is on its way. I guarantee you that it's going to make its start as we get towards before the weekend. There's going to be some much drastic changes coming up before then. But again, as we get towards the rest of the afternoon, we've been seeing a little bit of rain out there, something we need to see as we are in a bit of a drought, and something that's beneficial to the ground. Of course, you haven't maybe raking the leaves, but of course, you've been maybe doing some burning, which I've told you on Monday's edition. I'm prohibiting this week no burning because some of our neighboring counties, including North Carolina, are under some type of burn ban, and that's because of the dry air that is in place. Meanwhile, tonight we're going to see our temperatures staying in the 50s, and then we'll quickly drop to the 40s overnight, with cloudy skies coming into play, with our overnight lows staying in the mid to low 30s. Moving on now to your Thursday, of course, it's going to be warmer again, less of the cloud cover, to say the least. But however, though, we're going to see an increase of the winds, as you see here on the west-southwest, about 10 to 15 miles per hour. We may get up to 20, 25. So if you're doing anything outdoors, maybe you have your Christmas inflatables up, you may want to just take them down for the time being so they're not blowing across your neighbor's yard, as you do see here. But something nice, Luis, if you're watching this, 70 right there. So a beautiful day to get out there and enjoy it. And of course, if you're going to be doing anything else outdoors, maybe after work, you can get out there and take a jog, or maybe throw some football around, because people are still in the mood for some football. Now, as we begin to talk about this, the last several days has been Winter Weather Preparedness Month, or week, excuse me, for Virginia. And of course, we've talked about how the precipitation types yesterday. Now today, as you see here, our next graph is talking about more of an installation of your pipe. So this, we always talk about being prepared for installation in your home. We talk about this basically meaning you're going to have to go under, for those who have those crawl spaces under the basement of your house, you have to get the caulking, as you see here. Weather stripping is another thing. Basically get some strips and kind of just correlated it with that too. Another thing, also check your CO carbon monoxide detectors, and make sure you have some backup batteries just in case if you have a bit of a fire concern. You make sure your batteries are working with that, and make sure your home is being insulated too. Our next graphic here, this talks about, we talk power outages, which we have haven't seen much of these here lately. But again, if you are in the middle of a power outage, especially during winter season when there's ice on those power lines, something to keep in mind. Of course, you want to close the blinds so you can keep the heat in, obviously, because you don't want to have heat escaping your room. Have some type of course, warm layers on you. As they say, the more the layers, the better you are warmth. Of course, you want to be careful of how fitting your clothing is too. Make sure your food and perishable items are in a condensed location where they're not going to go spoil. And then, of course, obviously, make sure you need to kind of similar to what this diagram is here. You see some of the rugs under the doors, keeping some of that air just concealed in the house. So just keep that in mind as you are getting ready for winter season. And we'll talk more about that coming up on tomorrow. And then on Friday, I'll have a post scheduled on Facebook that you can go read all about as well. That's all the time I have for you here, everybody. Stay tuned. We have more great local programming continuing next here on BTW21.
Your BTW21 weather forecast is sponsored by Zentmeyer Chiropractic.